This crap. Election crap. Ooh. What's that? Hong Kong. Nice. Hey everybody, Syntax77 back with you, and I got a nice special delivery in the mail today, all the way from Guangdong, China. Not just made in China, but literally mailed from China through customs and everything. Even has its little signature there from my friend in China who sent it. And what this is, well, you probably already know from the title of the video, but inside here should be a little stove, canister stove. It's labeled on Amazon.com as something like ultralight backpacking stove, 3.9 ounces. All that's actually right in the title. You can probably get it a lot of places. I happened to get it off of Amazon. It wasn't directly from Amazon itself. It was one of like their approved vendors, and there's several different Chinese-based vendors that are selling what looks like basically the same stove. So once we open this up, we'll take a look at that. Now the downside of this was that it took about 3 weeks, 20 days to get here from over there in China. The upside is it cost me $8. That's right, $8. So let's get this thing open so you can actually have something to stare at besides this envelope, huh? Knife here. Forgot to bring scissors, but I guess you don't need them if you have a knife on you. Cut that open. And see what we got in here. It's either going to be my Pocket Rocket knockoff or, let's see. Nope. Got a little plastic case. Looks like it is indeed the stove. And let's open that up. There's that there, our first look at it. Now I should mention, I don't actually own a Pocket Rocket, so this isn't a versus video or even really a fair comparison. I am very partial to the alcohol stoves, much like this one here. This is my primary stove. It weighs nothing, burns alcohol. We won't get into the difference between the two right now, but anyway, this being $8 versus a real Pocket Rocket, which is $39.95, let's call it $40. Pretty cheap way for me to experiment and see if I want to play around with canister stoves. It is starting to get, you know, colder, and the convenience of simmering and stuff like that is a definite advantage with the canister stoves. Now this here we'll test in a moment, but you can see examples of canisters, these big old guys here. This is actually one of the larger ones, 8 ounce, 227 grams of actual fuel, plus the canister, of course, has some weight to it. You can also get little smaller 100-gram containers like this if you're going by yourself or something. So those are fuel options there compared to, you know, alcohol, which the container weighs nothing. Now it does take more fuel. Again, we'll do a separate video on comparing the two, but alcohol generally, from my testing, what I've read on the web, to boil the same amount of water, you're going to take about 3 times the weight of alcohol as you would compared to the canister fuel, which will boil that same amount of water with about 1/3 of the fuel. The downside is, though, the vessel weighs quite a bit more than this little plastic bottle, so there are downsides to everything. So let's see here. Now I'm thinking it's probably, there we go. Yep. So you just kind of rotate that around. See how it just accordion shut? So there's my 4 points of contact, and does it open up more? Let's see. If I break it on film, wouldn't that be terrible? Oh, there we go. Let's flip these back. So those appear to be fixed in place, if you can see that. But you actually flip these little guys back, and now you got your pot stand there to set a pot on of some kind. Now, one other thing that is worth mentioning here, you see that little this guy sticking up here, this little piece, this little post there? That is actually a piezo ignition, something that is actually not on the real Pocket Rocket. Now, it's not exactly the end of the world because I wouldn't rely on this fully by itself. I would still carry a lighter as a fail-safe ignition, or even a flint or something. That is something kind of interesting it has that the real version doesn't. And what a piezo ignition is, it's simply, there's a little spring-loaded hammer in there, and it's striking against a piece of either quartz, or it could be another material, ceramic material, but for simplicity's sake, we'll say a piece of quartz. And quartz is piezoelectric, so what that means is basically when something that's piezoelectric is subjected to mechanical stress, i.e. a hammer smacking against it, it emits a high voltage discharge of electricity, and you get that little spark there to ignite your flame. Not so good at high altitude, and something that really shows that off from what I've read is that the higher the altitude is, the more important it is for the striker parts to be aligned and properly tuned. So this $8 version here, probably definitely going to start failing at high altitude, but out here on the east, we don't have much that's that high anyway, and like I said, I'll be carrying a lighter, but that is a little bit of a plus, so we'll test that out as well. But let's get it hooked up to the stove. You see I got this little control here. Hopefully I have it in the right direction. That should be our ability to simmer, something that I haven't been able to really experience too much with the alcohol stoves. I'm sure somebody will post in the comments. It is possible to simmer with alcohol stoves. You can get little simmer plates and stuff like that. There's penny stoves and all that stuff. But when it comes to simmering and not just outright boiling water, there is definitely a convenience factor to these canister stoves. What I haven't decided yet is if it's worth the extra weight and fuel cost, but you know, it's something I'll get to. Again, the real MSR, 40 bucks. I know people are saying, Syntax, stop being so cheap. You know, you'll just end up spending more in the long run, yada, yada, yada. Well, look, I am a martyr, and you should consider yourself lucky that I'm willing to spend that whole $8 to show you whether or not this thing actually works. And besides, I can get 5 of these for the same price, give them out for Halloween or something, you know. And we'll start screwing it onto the canister. Here's the canister. Like we went over before, I'm going to test it on this larger canister because the smaller ones are really not very cost effective. You end up paying more, a lot more per gram. So I'll save that little guy for actual trips. But here we go. Start screwing it on. Make sure I get it nice and tight. Again, I'm no expert on these things. I am an alcohol stove guy, so, you know, feel free to give me tips if you want, but it feels like it is on there. And let's sit it down. Now I'm in my special testing facility. I suggest that you, you know, test yours outside. But here at the compound, we should be okay. All right, hear that? So that is working to let the gas out. And let's try the actual ignition. Without burning out the whole, we'll sit it over here so we don't melt the camera lens. Alright, there it is. Got a light simmer right there. Alright, perfect. You can see it is cruising along. I'll jack it up real quick again. Woo! There it goes. Really cranking, so I'll turn that off. Alright, so initial test, it does light and lit with the piezo ignition system there, so that is good. What I'm going to do next is maybe set this up so I'm not directly melting the camera lens, and we'll try boiling some water. They made this titanium $800 pot look like old tomato can, so I kind of like that concept. It does have that white lining, so you know, if you guys want to actually like cook in here and not just boil water, you know, you might want to get a can without a lining, but I'm not going to get into all that right now. Yes, there's probably BPA in there, but for testing purposes, we're going to use this can I have here. 2 cups of water measured out. And I also have thermometer here, 73 degrees. There's a reason for this. I'm trying to be consistent because in the other video for the alcohol test, I did, the water was 73 degrees and I did 2 cups and it took about a little over 7 minutes to reach a boil. So let's see what we can get out of this. Now, according to MSR's Pocket Rocket actual specs, out of a 100-gram canister, that's one of these guys here, the smaller ones, they say that on the Pocket Rocket you can get a boil for 28 cups of water. So whether or not that actually works, same efficiency with this stove remains to be seen. We're not going to find out today, but over the course of my other videos, we'll run those experiments. But right now, let's just see what kind of boil time we get. So I'll get the stopwatch going and pour this into the same can I used for the alcohol test. Again, this isn't alcohol stove versus canister video, but just for the sake of curiosity, let's see some similar conditions. So pop it on there. Make sure it's nice and solid. There we go. There are some nice serrations on here too that you saw earlier. Seems to be a nice grip on this can. There it goes. And stopwatch is rolling. Lost a couple seconds there, but whatever. And we need to cover it. Alright, let's just get that on there without burning my hands off. I like to use the tinfoil lids, just nice and light on there, and that should speed it up. See how long this takes. Going on 2 minutes here. See, we got a little simmer action going there. It's coming up on 3 minutes when that comes all the way around. And there it is. So full boil. Let's shut that down. And you see, I didn't even have it cranked all the way up. We got some major steam going on. So a little under 3 minutes did it. Could I have gotten it even faster by really jacking that all the way up? Yeah, I probably could have. But the flames were kind of wrapping around the side there. Now you can actually see some more, so I kind of left it there. So I might have been actually around 80% jet there. So we could have maybe gotten it down to 2.5 minutes even. If I really cranked it, I don't know if it would have made a difference, because again, it would have been just pluming out the sides there. There it is. So the burn test, hey, we're boiling water. What more can I ask for? Let's take it apart, and I never did really show you the weight on this. Again, they claim it's 3.9 ounces. According to the spec sheet for the MSR Pocket Rocket, they say on there 3 ounces. Some places I've read a little over 3 ounces, whatever that means. Let's just call it 3 ounces. And this is claiming, this system is claiming it to be 3.9 ounces. Now, there is the piezo system that we talked about. Could you modify this and like strip that off? I mean, there's your ounce right there. You could get this down to the 3 ounces if you probably just tin snipped the ignition system off of there, I would imagine. I mean, do it at your own risk. I don't know. For $8, I would probably experiment with it at some point. But then again, we haven't even really looked yet. Does this thing really weigh the 3.9 ounces that they say? All right, so scale time, my favorite part. 0 ounces there. Let's take our knockoff Pocket Rocket and let's see what it really weighs. Okay, 3¼ ounce. So you know what? It's actually delivering a better stat than was claimed. They claimed 3.9 ounces. I found this scale, I use it for all my stuff, to be very accurate based on other product manufacturers' specs. And as you've even seen in some of my other videos, even very reputable suppliers, they've come across with items that might say they weigh 9 ounces. You get it and it weighs 10. So most of the time I'm seeing higher readings on this than what is the list weight. And in this case, this is ringing in at 3.25 ounces. Now, it did just dawn on me that maybe they were weighing the case. I'm never going to use this. I doubt you'll ever use this, but let's just see. I'll re-tear that. 1/2 ounce. Okay, so if we put it all together, it's probably going to read 3 3/4. 4 ounces. So there's your 3.9 ounces. It's with the stupid case that you'll never use. Now, I don't know, maybe Pocket Rocket users can tell me, do they come with a case as well and have it in the included weight? So is the Pocket Rocket actually running a little over 3 ounces with the case? And if you ditch the case on the Pocket Rocket, is it down to 2-point-something ounces? I doubt it. I haven't heard that, but if that's the case, you know, feel free to defend the Pocket Rocket in the comment section below. But it's looking like you can ditch this case and run this system at 3 1/4 ounces. This, honestly, again, I don't have one here to actually weigh it, but a Pocket Rocket and this, it appears to me, actually weigh the same thing. So there you have it. $8 Pocket Rocket ripoff, basically, from Hong Kong. One more thing to note, obviously, if you're really into the canister stove idea and you just want to get started, $40, not the end of the world, and the MSR version is tried and true. Probably built with, one would assume, higher quality components, probably last you the rest of your life, and you can go out to the store and get it right now. You're not going to wait 20 days to get it from overseas. But if you're like me and you just want something to experiment with, maybe it's your first foray into the world of canister stoves and fuels, you know what? As of right now, and again, this is not a review, this is literally you opening the package with me, I would say go for it for $8 if you like to tinker with things. I'll do update videos and probably maybe you'll see this in some videos actually being used, so there will be more to come on it. We'll see if it, I mean, it could blow up tomorrow, and if it does, I'll let you know. But until then, I still got all my hands. I'm also Syntax77, and have fun out there.